Deep in the ocean, an orca pod is on the hunt. But these aren't your average orcas. These guys are organized.
Marketing team, did you get those social media posts scheduled for the SEAL migration?
Aye, Captain. We even have an automated notification for all pod managers when they go live.
They use Monday.com to keep their teamwork sharp, their communication clear, and their goals in sight. Monday.com. For whatever you run, even orcas. Go to Monday.com to dive deeper.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer. So let's bring her out. Our star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
All right, we're through the AIDS crisis. Now,
Thank God.
no, I might go back. Shut up. You're so fucking lucky.
Oh, I know.
All right.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, Wigstock. How did that... It started... I remember it started... You moved it, right? Didn't you move it from to the pier or...
We did after it got so big that it couldn't be contained in Tompkins Square Park.
Right,
A lot of people say, oh, the old ones in Tompkins Square Park were better because, of course, it was right across the street from the pyramid. We used the pyramid as our dressing room, Pyramid Club. And then we moved it over to the West Side Piers. And by that point, it had gotten so big that, you know, the Debbie Harrys and I will never... thank John Cameron Mitchell enough because he was doing a matinee and an evening show at Westbeth right across the street. And I begged him. I said, you know, you're the biggest thing in drag going right now. If you can make it over there. And bless his heart, he did.
He did?
Yeah. So
that's great.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
What bars all right, these are the bars that we used to go to. Uncle Charlie's. The Monster. That's still there,
I still
right?
DJ there on Sunday nights.
You
Spinning
do?
Disco Classics from 6 to 10. It is a hoot.
I might have to. We should go.
It is so much fun.
It's
and you know
6
what?
to 10 on Sundays at the Monster.
And you know what I love about it? It's like all these, like, you know, GLAD, HRC. They're all like, oh, we have to be inclusive. And honey, we don't try to be inclusive at the Monster. We are inclusive.
Right.
So it's because it's like there is everything from trans people to every color, every age.
Away. You know, like I
well,
remember.
some people would argue with that and say that there were door policies where blacks were frowned on, and there's things that we don't know because of our white privilege, and that's true.
Okay, but at the lesbo bars, forget it. And there's no lesbo bars. Remember, there was the Click Club.
There's one near my apartment at the Cubby Hole.
The Cubby Hole, the Click Club. But the Cubby Hole, they say, isn't even lesy anymore. It's like
Cubby Hole, it's very mixed.
It's all mixed.
What
it's
kind
like
of
this
guy?
whole acceptance thing has ruined everything.
There's all these gay guys that go there, and I'm like,
I know.
What? I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with having lesbian friends, but I'm like, what kind of gay guy goes out to a bar knowing, like, in no way am I going to get laid here?
Well, I remember I went to Rutgers, and there was a gay bar there, and I remember the first time I went, and it was like, like a safe place. You know what I mean? Going into a gay bar for the first time as a gay is so like, oh my God, there's people like, you know.
It's your people.
Right. You know, it's such they don't have that experience anymore.
It's pretty
it's
exciting.
Because of the acceptance, and this is a good thing, a lot of young people say that gay bars are closing. Trust me, the big clubs, they're not open anymore. The Monster is the biggest club with the Monster with the piano bar upstairs. It's kind of, it's not like where you would take someone to impress a first date.
Well, we go to the duplex too. Yeah, right, exactly.
But that is the largest dance floor 7 days a week in New York.
No way.
City. Yes, and there's 5 Disney shows. New York is hopping if you're 5 years old.
I know, right?
I mean, it's.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think people feel the need to be together anymore. I think we've got this superficial contacts on social media where we feel, like if we like someone's mom's death, we like that.
Right.
Then it's like, and that we're in contact with them. We're actually not.
Right.
And people are fronting, especially entertainers on Facebook, to make it look like, oh, I've got this gig here.
Right.
Oh, I've got this. In fact, they may well be a shut-in, and as someone who is not relationship-oriented and who lives, alone, I'm kind of like, I reject this. I'm going out. I'm going to have a blast.
Right. It's
Love it.
They don't do that. I know it's really sad. That whole. What do you? All right. Well, I'll get to that.
Well, there was. I mean, when you went to before gays were accepted. See, now they say we feel comfortable going to straight bars, and that's great. But honey, please don't get too drunk and come on to that straight guy because he's gonna punch you in the face, and you're gonna go to which community center?
Right.
LGBTQ.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Trump said LGBTQ. I thought it was LGBT. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
is
I
he
know.
more politically correct than I am? I was
Well,
like,
because they
wow.
had it in the fucking prompter.
Isn't Q all of it?
No, this is my whole joke. No one fucking agrees or knows what the fucking. It's queer. It's questioning. You know, it's
quaint.
ridiculous.
It's quaint. Q
I
is
say
for
it's
quaint.
quesadilla. Okay, so I got a laugh from Patrick. Woo!
Quesadilla.
It's quesadilla.
You said quesadilla.
I said quesadilla.
Well, I say if you're questioning whether you're a member of, my community, by all means, come to the
Right.
Center for Counseling or HIV testing or
I
whatever
love
you
how
need.
they have like a
But
they have like a city
until you
MD right next
decide,
to it. Yeah.
until you decide, can we not change the name to reflect
Yeah,
somebody that doesn't even
hello?
know they're in the community?
I know. So
Right.
you're not in this. Okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
You're too young.
I'm not queer
Okay, you
enough.
didn't go through what we went through.
I'm not a millennial, and I did go through a lot. I checked myself into ex-gay therapy.
I
You
know
this.
Hello.
Wow.
Fuck, my
Yes.
father's a minister also.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, the other thing is I don't think that young people realize is that to go into a gay club and hear, to be able for the first
Right.
time to queen out to Donna Summer or Diana Ross
Oh,
or
my
Madonna
God.
or whoever, Whitney.
I have to say
that
that-
was like
Were
that
you
was
at
a
the-
safe space. They talk about Pulse,
Right.
Orlando after the shooting. Oh, that's a safe place, honey. That's not. It's a safe place, but we're abandoning them right and left
I
all
know.
over the country. So
Were you at the Diana Ross concert in Central Park?
that was a little before.
Was when it started raining. And I remember she's like, go, because no one wanted to leave. She's like, you have to go. You have to leave. But I love her. Okay, I'm
do
just
too.
looking
I
at
just
my
saw
phone
her.
because Henry's driving. He's coming home for the holidays, and I have to get him a fucking car from the airport. Anyway, so he's going to call. Anyway, just warning. The club culture, thank God for TV. The fact that we are visible now, and it's much easier to come out. There's still horrible situations, of course.
Of course.
Because like I was saying to you in the beginning, like about this, the South and how, but the hate also in the Northeast. Boston and it was a different kind. I think the reason I was always freaked out about the South is because it was all about God and Jesus and stuff. And up here, it's not really religion. It's this shame, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And there's something wrong. I don't know.
Sounds
Well,
like
it's
religion.
typical for parents to feel that they've done something wrong if their child turns out gay. Plus, they're
Right.
not going to have the grandkids often.
Well, not anymore. Now, my mother had grandkids, but I'm Then-
the gay people
Right.
before there was marriage
Right.
or ability to adopt, they were not going
Right.
to. It was like the bloodline
Right.
ends here.
And there's also the available gay child. Like it's like we were the ones at the time. We were always the ones to take care of the parents, and because they're gay, they don't have anything to do, they have no life. You know what I mean?
I don't think mine are counting on me too much.
Okay, so when did Rue get really like you? All right, so you moved Wigstock from Tompkins Square Park to over by the Hudson River, right? The piers.
Yes, and Rue had taken off shortly before we left Tompkins
Right.
Square. I guess 94 or
Right,
something.
and
A
we're
supermodel.
all right. Did you feel? Were you like jealous? Were you happy? Was it a combo?
It was interesting. Of course, listen, Rue in Atlanta, I would work random jobs at everything from Popeyes to ice cream counters, whatever.
Right.
Rue would not work. he was a star, and a star does not work. So, I mean, he would get a show occasionally, but it was like, and it turns out he was right. He is a star. So, I mean.
So, do you think it was fake it till you make it, kind of?
Well, it was completely that, but he got good management in World of Wonder. And of course I was happy for a friend that, because he'd put out records before that, had not really done anything, but, or that were on tiny labels, but with the I felt a slight betrayal. We were living together at the time. He moved out, stole our air conditioner, and he also, I mean, when I got to New York, I was like, I'm home.
Right.
This is the music.
Right.
This is the club culture.
These are my
this
people.
is the underground.
Yeah.
And I think Rue's emphasis was always being as big as he could be, which, Supermodel is a bubblegum dance record. And, but it was about supermodels. It was timely. And so, it took off. And then that led to talk shows and now Drag Race and, all of that kind of stuff.
So you've remained friends.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in constant contact. He hasn't lived in New York for ages, years.
But he's helped you. I mean, he
put me on Drag U, which was a spinoff of Drag Race, which was actually very interesting to me because I was on it for 3 years as the dean of drag. Now, the premise of the show was that we would find women who had lost their mojo. Maybe they had, let their looks go or, whatever. And that it was, later in life, or maybe they put up with a cheating man or for whatever. They just weren't paying attention to that. So Rue's own stylist at the time, Matthew Anderson, would whip these girls up and they would compete. And I have to tell you, this is what the gay men do not realize. Women sacrifice everything, and I had I was often crying on the show. The show was not a hit like Drag Race because it wasn't bitchy, but I mean, seeing these women's story and giving their whole lives to kids, then some of them that weren't even any damn good. It was just like, no wonder you're busy running around taking them to whatever lessons and buying groceries and doing laundry
and giving up your whole fucking life.
Yeah, and my sister, I think her kid will be with her for the rest of her life.
No way.
Yeah.
How old is he or she?
22.
Is it a boy?
Girl. She has a boy that's 27 that moved back home. I mean, my sister is like read every parenting book, did everything she could to have, activities planned from the minute they got up. She'd be the most perfect mother.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just backfires because you want to be the opposite of what your parents are.
Right. So, are you close with your niece and nephew?
After Thanksgiving, I was informed that my niece was becoming a Catholic, and there's no Catholics in my family.
Excuse me? Wait, wait.
This is one of these This is one of these things that she just has an obsession over. So my sister let me know that she does not now approve of me, the gay uncle, because she is serious about this. And I was like, well, could you let her know that I don't approve of the international pedophile ring that she now worships
and also,
out of the blue?
Catholics, by the way, the majority of Catholics are pro-gay marriage. I don't know if you knew that. First of all,
the Catholics maybe, but I don't know if the church is.
No. But I'm saying Catholics.
I'm sorry. Well, that's terrible. I hope she comes out of it.
Fuck her. No.
That's what I said. I said
she doesn't approve. Fuck you. You're 20 fucking 2. You're an idiot.
But she latches onto these things as young people have their obsessions. And at one point, I went to do a gig in Philly that was quite late, and I said, let me do a family thing. So I had breakfast with them at 7 a.m. My sister is one of those queens of Yelp reviews.
Right.
So she found a place. Her whole family hated everything that they served. I had oatmeal. I loved it. And, the little girl, tugged her daddy's arm and said, Daddy, would you support me if I was trans?
No way.
No, she had been, I knew that because she speaks with my mother every day, that she'd asked my mother this 2 years before that. And she had been dating a schoolmate who strapped down her boobs, slit her wrists, took every drug from alcohol to sniffing glue, and was just a mess. And before that, they'd watched some vampire show where one of the young vampire characters committed suicide. So they were all about suicide for a minute. And I'm like, you know what? You really do need to watch what kids are exposed to, especially considering the level, of their development. It's different. So anyway, when she said that to her dad about, would you support me if I was trans? And I knew she'd been clowning around with this. I was so tired. And I snapped at her and said, honey, if you're trans, you might want to cut off that long blonde ponytail and take off that pink fuzzy jacket, because guess what? Not only are you not trans, you're not even a dyke.
Right.
And it turns
and
out
now she's Catholic.
And now, and she had a gorgeous boyfriend, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Okay, there's some fucking shit going on there. If she's asking about being trans, and then
I have met some girly trans dudes though, like very feminine.
Great.
But,
so,
but
it could happen.
I mean, listen. If she was trans, of course, I would fully support her. But I think that, like the Catholicism, that was just like something she gets obsessed over at the minute. And listen. If trans issues had been out in the open when I was a kid, honey, I might be a complete woman by now. I have no idea.
Right.
But I went to a friend's home, and her 4-year-old son had on blue nail polish, and I thought, okay, I wonder if the kid said, Mommy, can I put on nail polish the way you do? Then I'm glad that she is such a mother to do something, non-traditional and to support him.
Right.
But I kind of got the feeling that she'd been reading the New York Times and thought, ooh, I have to be the perfect mother and put the nail polish on him in case he goes that way. Just like my sister, sometimes you can read too many of these books, about
and then you
just
push
so you know,
it on
it's
them.
Okay. Yeah, she starts hooking them up with dates.
Hi, wouldn't you like to wear a dress to school today?
Well, as sweet as a moment as that might be, I think it was in the summer when I was there, so she wasn't. But when that kid goes to school and then they never let him live that down, it may be an embarrassment to him when he turns out to be straight. Who knows? I'm not going to tell other people how to raise their kids because I only look pregnant.
Leah Delaria said something similar about being trans, and if it would have been, remember this before our interview?
Yeah.
She was like, I'm probably trans male, but this is like, I've built my identity in this so much, and I just I don't give a fuck anymore. Like,
right.
I thought
Do
that was
you like
interesting.
having a penis, or you don't think about it?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I mean, I don't know how many tales we should tell, but a lot of trans women don't actually get the bottom surgery.
Of course. Yeah.
Which, translates to,
Trans,
a chick with a
translates,
dick. A chick, that's just what it is. And, there's a variety of reasons for that, which I won't, go into, but it's hard for people to accept, that if they see someone like Candace Cain, who is beautiful with this gorgeous mane of red, reddish blonde hair, and then they think, oh my God, the boobs, the legs, the hair, the face, the penis.
Right.
Stop thinking about my fucking junk so much.
I know, but I have a friend who is a post-operative transsexual. Apparently, you're not supposed to even say post-op because that refers to the part along the journey at which they are. And I'm like, we grew up calling them sex changes, and if you had the operation, you went on a journey and you finished it. That was nothing. That was not any. But she said when they go on these talk shows and say, "Don't ask me at what point I am in my surgery," she said that means one thing. She said they have a dick.
Right. Right.
So maybe it isn't anyone's business, but but if your press agent has gotten you onto that show as who is the very well-spoken Janet Mock?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful representative.
Right.
So just gorgeous, everything. She's not that her look should even matter, but
she handles every question
so
well.
But we
she
all
does, but her press
love looks. I mean, this fucking society here, it's all about the way you look. Yeah.
But she went on Pierce Morgan.
I fucking hate him.
Well, I hate him.
He's a fucking asshole.
I hate
Fuck
him
you.
too. But when your press agent says that you've written a book about changing your sex from male to female, and Pierce wants to get down to a question that you perceive as nitty gritty, That's what your press agent has put you as. That's what your book is as.
Right.
So are you here to tell about it or not?
Right.
I mean, of course you have the right to say, I don't feel comfortable saying that.
Right.
Which she did, but that kind of turned into like a weird...
I didn't know
Twitter.
it was
He's not
about
coming
that.
from a good place, Piers Morgan.
Well, I don't think so
You
either.
know?
But other people do want to know, that question.
right.
So then they can stop focusing on it. It becomes less of a distraction for them.
It's hard for some people to understand because it's like, we get it. Okay, there's trans people. You want to change your sex, but you don't want to fully change it.
Right.
Well, that's hard
But
for you
that's
to
them
understand.
defining sex as your
gender.
yeah.
Right. Right.
So wait. So, did you watch the Whitney Houston documentary?
I did not.
Can Be Me or Can I Be Me? Oh my God, you have to see it.
Yeah, I want
And
to. I
there's
didn't
it's
know it
all
was out.
about it's. Oh, I just saw it, and so there's one part right where she's Katie Couric is interviewing Whitney, right? And
remember that.
they're talking about
Was that
Robin, who obviously, they had a relationship, whatever. But this is like in the 80s or the early 90s, whatever. And I could, and I love Katie Couric. And I don't think she's homophobic or transphobic or anything. But in this portion that they show in the movie, it's like you can tell she's grilling Whitney about Robin in sort of this, and what about Robin? And blah, 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 blah.
That's
like that
annoying.
sort of, but that was what was the way it was.
That was the way it was, but to have a gospel singing mama, Sissy Houston,
Right.
who in interviews I've
Did you
caught
see-
seems so mean and
Well, did you? Well, they have one interview after they're dead, after Whitney's dead.
Oh, I know, and they said the brother and all of them were smoking crack. And it
No,
was like,
but they had. She was interviewed by Oprah, and Oprah said, "Would you have been upset at knowing that?" If Whitney was gay, and she said, absolutely. It's like your daughter's fucking dead.
Yeah.
But
she
that's-
does come off cunty.
But that's the gospel,
Right.
Thing.
It's so, it's like that's what I can't stand about religion.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
So you do what now? You do a lot of shows. I mean, you're like me. You've done nothing. I mean, I've done nothing but stand up since I'm since I'm 19 years old, 20 years, and someone recently said to me, like a civilian person said, well, what's the retirement age for a comedian? I'm like, what the fuck? Hello?
When they stop laughing.
Yeah, George Burns. Hello.
Yeah.
Joan Rivers.
Yeah.
Well, I have a drag queen friend who's a little bit older than me,
Right.
and she said, my husband's retiring. I was like, no, baby.
Yeah.
You don't create something that's that magic
Right.
and then take it away.
Right.
If you can still, the heels might be a little bit lower,
Right.
like Cher's and Diana Ross's are
Right.
on there too. But honey, you get out there and you give it to them.
Don't you think there's something in the fact that, because we're the same age, that here you are, you've been Lady Bunny for all these years, and, we're growing old and not hiding it and not trying to be young and sort of aging Lady Bunny, aging graceful. Like, I think that is, you could be the voice or the poster of, aging
Old drag
graceful.
queen.
Yeah, but not old drag queen. Not in
RuPaul
that.
is 1 year older.
You're different. You know what I mean?
no,
Because
he's
RuPaul's
successful.
so no. I mean, because RuPaul's so. Look. It's like me. I'm a club comic. I'm someone who goes to these like theaters and clubs, and I am that basic stand-up comic.
You're a comics comic, and you are a drag queen's drag queen.
Right.
And you both are successful in the mainstream as well and known. Maybe
but not as much as we want.
But we entered this
But you
business
have a
knowing that there were no
stronger-
guarantees, and we're still working. And I'll tell you something related to the AIDS thing. When you assume for decades that you have it, honey, you ain't worried about saving money.
Right.
You're not worried about your retirement fund or whatever. So finally, when that 401k and the housing market collapsed, I was kind of like, welcome to my world.
Right. People don't get it. And it's not, like sometimes Elisa, my girlfriend, will say, I'll be like, oh my God, because you have months that are so bad and then you have months that are great. And don't spend the great month money. Don't do it. And maybe I'll buy a pair of boots or maybe I'll buy one little thing. So like the last month I was like, I can't take it anymore because sometimes it gets so annoying. It's just like, I just want to have enough money so I never have to think about money again. You know what I mean? Like not to be a billionaire. Well, no, but I don't want that.
But you would
burden.
also be bored out of your mind if you didn't have to get out there and work and get shit off your chest and whine about your Metro cards and all of it.
Yeah,
that's
true.
you.
I'm so fucking, because people say, what happened to this comic? This person used to be so funny. I think after you stop living in the world that everyone else lives in as a comic, you're not funny anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You isolate yourself.
Well, no, it's just that you're not yeah, well, sort of in a way. But I'm saying, you don't have the same problems as us. You can't relate to us. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm so sorry you're fucking, Rolls Royce, whatever.
John Mayer.
But it's like, how do you feel? Like, I feel like I don't have a lot of people I can talk to about this. Like, here we are. I mean, I still love what I do. Like, I still go out 4 or 5 nights a week. I go down to the cell. I am being on stage, doing stand-up, being in that. Like, I don't think people realize for you when you say the clubs are closing, that is like a major loss. I mean,
because the budgets are way down. If it's a club that holds 800 and now there's bars that hold 150, you're not going to get paid as much.
I remember in the 90s how much fucking money we made. I mean, there's no money anymore for this shit.
Well, what's happened with the club world is that there are these destination events.
Right.
Now, whether they are cruises or a white party or a gay pride event or something or a drag race launch or whatever. So they're actually they're packaging, the drag race queens, and because I was involved in Drag You, thank you, Rue. I'm kind of, and they mentioned me on the hit show Drag Race. I'm kind of luckily lumped in to them, so I'm the old cow that does comedy. So it's like so now on these tours, that I've never until a couple months ago taken one of those tours where you actually ride those buses with coffins that you sleep in. I've never done that, and then you arrive at the theater. From that coffin, and then at the end of the night you leave and get back on that bus. And I mean, sometimes they would get us like day rooms just so we could at a nearby hotel across the street so we could have a place to chill out. But showering in the theater and arriving at the theater, and then it's just like, and you want to get away from the other people, but that's what it's turned into. So it's like these destination events. It's like, oh, let's get costumes for this cruise. It's the opposite of you want to stop by get a drink after work. It's dressing up, it's committing, it's buying a ticket, it's flying somewhere. That's what's replaced.
I know.
Or one person shows.
Exactly. All right, we're having to call Henry. Wait. Hi, what's up?
I got my final grades.
Oh, wait, you're on the podcast. Do you want to announce them on my podcast?
Sure, I don't care.
All right, go ahead.
Drum roll, please.
I got a 77.7, a 86.5, a 90.9, a 91.8, and 93.2.
Yeah.
That's good, except for I'm going to be Ruth Gold right now. What's the 77?
Sportscasting.
Henry, that's all you fucking do is watch sports. What happened?
Too easy for him.
Talking into the camera.
Oh, God.
Oh, I wonder who could coach you with that.
Yeah. I'm not happy with the 77. What was the 86?
86.5 is intro to design and production.
Nice.
What did you get? Oh, that's the one you took yesterday, right?
Yeah, I got a 77 on the exam, which is bad. I thought I was going to get an A in the class, but I studied for the exam and I don't know what happened.
It's called smoking pot all the time. All right, so what's your GPA this semester?
I don't know. I have to go do it.
Where are you? Do you need a car from the airport?
I'm on 125th and 2nd.
Oh, all right. Are you going to Mama's?
Yeah, right.
All right.
I'm going to get food after your podcast.
What?
I'm going to get food after your podcast.
Oh, maybe, yeah. All right. That's a good idea.
All right.
I'll call you when I'm done.
Okay.
All right, bye. Love you.
Yeah. You too.
Bye. Now, Henry, that's my 21-year-old.
Sounds like a nice young man.
He's great.
He is.
When I worked in P-Town, I still work in P-Town. I bought a house.
Saw you there.
Yes. Okay. So I have a house I bought in '94, and I've always worked there. And do you work there?
I would really go and hang out with Jimmy James at his height,
Right.
Because Jimmy and Bubba, do you know Bubba?
I worked with Jimmy at Sage this past summer, and he was coming up to me going, "It's so hard. I don't have Bubba anymore. I don't have Bubba."
Well, he doesn't always like
protect-
what Bubba
yeah.
says when he
Right.
doesn't always like to hear it. But
Right.
anyway, I would go, Jimmy. I benefited from Jimmy's largesse.
Right.
My act wasn't really as fully developed as
Right.
it is now, so I was just kind of like a hanger on. But
Right.
when Jimmy was ruling
Oh, I
Provincetown
remember.
and could do the Marilyn
Right.
Monroe impersonation, and then it was gobsmacking.
Right. I know. Jimmy, I told him, I said, "Jimmy, you have a great voice. I told him, you need to write a show about your life." Yeah, no. But then I talked to him and I'm like, I don't know if he can actually sit down and it's so much work, or.
Well, he has been putting together the Maryland snippets and
Right.
unarchiving the talk shows, Sally,
Right.
Jesse, Raphael, Phil Donahue, because he was everywhere.
Yeah, he was.
And Jimmy was one of the top cabaret
Right.
acts of that time. We didn't have cell phones back then,
Right.
so it's not, you
Right.
have to unarchive these video things, but he and I are still very close.
I love
and,
Jimmy.
the interesting thing is that, well, obviously he got, heavier over the years as I did too. And, he's a Maryland purist. He does not
Right.
want to do Maryland,
Right,
if
unless
he's-
he has the body.
Right. And I said, bitch, you still got the face.
Right.
Put that face out from the curtain and hide the body and say,
Yeah, right.
I can't sing it.
Right.
A kiss on the hand may be quite
Right.
continental,
You
but
can-
then the
you
curtain,
can sing
then the
it.
curtains, I can't sing. The curtains
Right.
open and it's him, profile with that gut
Right.
saying, but cookies are a girl's best friend, and just have
That's
fun
hilarious.
with it. Just
That's a great idea.
But he will never disrespect
Right.
Maryland that way.
But
His other voices are incredible.
Yes. Oh my God. So Henry is my older son, and when I was working at the post office, Varla Jean would go on after me, and so most of the time I was on stage, she was backstage putting on her tits and everything, and Henry used to come and watch her. Like my kids and drag queens, like Henry knows all the rules. Like don't ever call them by their male name, and he would be like, walking down the street in P-Town, and when Varla was not Varla, be like, "Hey, Varla," like just on purpose and it was so funny. But like, here's two kids who have they see a drag queen, normal,
Yeah, that's great.
gay, normal, trans, normal, like could give a fuck. I mean, that's the way the fucking world should be. You know what I mean?
There are some people, like Lip Synca, who prefers to be John Epperson and will
Right.
perform as John Epperson.
Right.
And, while I respect that, I'm like, honey, if I ever told anybody to call me by my
Right.
real name when I wasn't a drag, they would see me and yell down the street, Miss Lady
Right.
Buddy Girl,
Right.
what's going on, girl? I'm just not that precious.
Right. Right.
With I don't take myself that
Yeah.
seriously.
What do you think gay culture is today? Like, what do you think defines gay culture now?
Well, I'm glad that we are more accepted and have more equality and can do things like fight in the military or, if that's your cup of tea, or get married. That's neither are my cup of tea.
Right.
But we have when we didn't have the rights, our culture was superior.
That's what I say. I say that in my act. I'm like, oh my God, it was so much better when we were marginalized.
But I mean, when you get a certain age, you're always going to be like, oh, back in my day, and that's us just doing it. But I spoke to a queen. I'd never met her after I finished my DJ gig at the Monster this Sunday. And I said, so what are you up to tonight? She said, oh, there's this competition over at Stonewall, and then there's a competition here later, and then there's some other thing at Pieces. And I was like, what do I not understand about?
Right.
There's an oversaturation of RuPaul's Drag Race to where it's all anybody ever wants to talk about.
Right.
And so the clubs are copying reality.
Oh, yeah.
TV. I mean, to me, as someone who was the DJs that made the hits that danced to all over the world were living in New York. And I mean, to go out and see Little Louis Vega or Frankie Knuckles or, one of those things. I mean, that was our own culture. We would never watch TV throughout the whole, 80s and 90s. Maybe The Nanny.
Right. I just worked with her too. It's interesting because I read that, you said that people like music people would come to gay clubs to see what records, like when you were DJing, and they would come and say, "Oh, what?"
Maybe not when I was DJing,
right?
But in the height of the gay discotheques, yes, the gays were known for their superior taste.
Right.
We wanted to hear the vocalists like Martha Wash.
Right.
We did not care back then if you looked good, Britney Spears, in a bare midriff, but could not sing a note.
Right.
We gravitated towards what we heard
talent.
Talent, and I mean, so to see. First of all, maybe the gay bars are closing because all they do is play top 40.
Right. It's really, don't you want to go back a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the culture back then was uniquely
It was
gay.
culture. And there's no culture. It's not a culture.
It's just the same as straights listen to. So we got the equality, but can we please have our
I know.
Can we?
I know. It's like, I don't know.
Black people are like, oh, welcome.
VP. So, VP means voice probation. That means that Hennessy's not allowed to. Okay, so there's two questions we ask all our guests. By the way, I find you fascinating, and I love you. I think you're great. And I miss our old times of, even that feeling,
Well,
I don't know.
Part of people are always saying, "Oh, bring Wigstock back," and we did do a couple of Wigstock themed cruises. But the other thing is, I can't bring back the past, and I can't bring back a time when we were in our 20s and we needed to flail our body to the beat, without, having a bad knee or whatever. So I'm really glad that I did it when it was hopping, but it's not quite the same. Although Brooklyn, I will say, is funkier. And I have done a few gigs out there on like Saturdays and, driving home. I'm one of those Manhattan snobs that is like, I didn't come from Chattanooga to live in Brooklyn.
Right.
So, I watch that with interest.
Right.
But it does seem like they have a neighborhoody feel out there, which New York's Manhattan is becoming a bit. I'm even seeing Starbucks on side streets, not just avenues.
Right.
It's like,
oh, banks! How many fucking banks? I can't take it. Okay. So, what are you doing on your computer?
Writing notes.
Oh. We ask
Banks. I can't take fucking banks. Go ahead.
That's funny.
VP.
I can't take it. I really can't. How many fucking banks do you need? I mean, seriously, no one fucking does any. Like, I do it on my phone.
I get a letter from Citigroup once a week for 30 years.
Right. Bye now. What we asked two questions always to our guests. First one, I don't know what the answer to the first one is.
That's why you're supposed to ask me.
I know,
think
we
they
always
took
guess
it
first.
Not in.
I don't
No.
think so.
I don't think so.
You seem very emotionally together for some reason. Good parents.
It's
Have you
Xanax.
ever, or are you on antidepressants? Ever been, or are you?
Oh, I was on Lexapro for 3 years.
Fuck! Really? And
Well,
Yay.
actually, it was funny because
we're very pro mental health, and yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was seeing, like a therapist, and she recommended that I go to a psychiatrist who
Right.
could prescribe drugs. I don't suffer from depression as much as anxiety. Like the
Yes.
mountain is a molehill,
Right.
Or the
And the
opposite.
hypochondria is, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Like the
And-
zit is a tumor. Yeah, I got it.
Exactly. So, they put me on it, and I started it when I was going to do a DJ gig in Paris because they said it could have it could give you suicidal tendencies, and I was literally like on the second day on it, and I was looking out from my friend's apartment into the Seine River, and I was thinking, are you going insane and
Right.
going to jump out of this fifth
Right.
floor into the Seine River because of these pills? I mean, I just didn't know,
Right.
but in the end, I noticed they made me cheerier and that people would catch that on the street and smile at me more often. So it was definitely something that I was giving off.
Right.
Now I try to do that now too, now that I'm not on
Right.
them, because people do. I saw something on the Huffington Post. I thought this is the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. Some self-help thing. And it said, if you smile, it can banish the blues, the very physical act.
Oh, no,
And
I learned
sometimes
that
I'll
in
do that.
therapy.
Yeah.
There is a thing in cognitive behavioral therapy called the half smile. And seriously, and I do it because I went through a very bad depression, where you lift the corner of your mouth and you can feel, I'm not kidding.
I see you do this often.
You go like this.
It
You
just
do that after you
changes.
tell a really
I thought that
offensive
was
joke.
so ridiculous when I read it,
But it changes your body. I swear to God.
well, it reminds
it
you
does.
of what
It
a
does.
body that is
Right.
not upset is doing.
Meanwhile, you're like, oh, and everyone's nice. Meanwhile, I'm on the subway today going, fucking goddamn fucking Metro card.
So I took the Lexapro, and it made me. Well, first of all, I went to do Drag You in LA. I am not a fan of reality TV. I
Right.
didn't know how that was going to work out for
yeah.
me, and so I packed the bottle that had 3 or 4 Lexapro pills in it. And leaving the full one
Oh,
at
God,
home.
I
So
hate
I thought,
that.
oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to be on my friend Rue's show. I'm going to be
Right.
melting down.
Right.
I'm going to be having fits. Blacklisted forever.
Right.
But a friend actually, so I was just like taking a crumble per day, and then a friend happened to have like 2 or 3.
Right.
So when I got back, the psychiatrist said, well, you actually weaned yourself off of it. I said, you know what? I really don't want to be on it because
Right.
it made me gain weight.
Oh, my God. And
It-
you're tired, too.
Well, because I didn't sleep, and then
Right.
you have no libido. So I'm like,
Right,
I'm
no.
so fat, nobody wants to fuck me.
Right.
I don't want to fuck them, and I'm bitter because I'm not sleep. But I'm
Right.
smiling.
Right.
So I don't want a happy pill.
Right.
So, but that doesn't mean that I don't suffer from, anxiety. And she just
Right.
said, honestly, it's really just better to put you on Valium so that when
Right.
you're having
For-
one of your moments.
Yeah, Band-Aid.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm getting off this Paxil now because I gained so much weight, and now that has given me sleep apnea, which now
I have that too.
it's horrible because
Did
they
give
say
you the
you
machine?
can't. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Oh, I can't stand it. It's
First
dry.
of all, your whole mouth gets so dry. Like I was like, I couldn't even fucking. I can't.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, so I have the machine, but I don't want it. I have to give it away. But it's also I'm like so uncomfortable because I'm not used to being 35 pounds overweight. All right. What pisses you off? Like makes you so? You see, you're very even and happy, and you have a natural smile on your face anyway. Like you're like you do give off positive.
You have a radiant energy about
Yeah,
you.
you really do.
Only-
Even though you're sick.
Only in interviews. Ask my parents and my
Oh.
sister how
No.
sweet I am.
Yeah.
Well, they seem
What
to love
pisses
you.
you? Like, what makes you fucking crazy? Like we're gonna fucking kill someone.
Well, it makes me crazy to hear the news constantly going on about Trump's latest outrages.
Right.
Because this is someone who mocked a reporter with disability, called Carly Fiorina ugly, questioned John McCain's war record, said Mexicans are rapists, said, he's going to ban, Muslims and all this. So he's a jackass.
Right.
And you give a jackass a Twitter account and a microphone, and they're going to spout off, and they're going to spout shit.
Right.
I went to Europe for a couple weeks. They were talking about how after he was elected, they were talking about how he said that the Obama had bugged him in Trump Tower.
Right.
Every report said they have no proof of this.
And
he's not trying, and he's not trying to string Michelle and Obama up. So I'm like, I get back 2 weeks later, and they are still talking about this. Listen, the left is making a big mistake.
Yes.
I'm from a family of Democrats. Lifelong Democrat, you do not sit with your jaw on the ground every time that fool dominates. That we are losing at his game.
Right.
He's keeping the ball in his court every time he says Pocahontas, or anything like that. I need to know, why is the left not examining themselves to see why they lost to a nut job who has never held elected office, never insulted everyone? It's not just Russia.
I do think some people are. I think it goes back to what we were talking about before too.
Hating women.
This is my theory. I mean, I have so many theories, but I do think it's about. First of all, Hillary was the most qualified person ever to become a nominee for the president. I mean, she's qualified, and yet people hated her. They hated her past. They hated that she stood by Bill, and
that was what my mother mentioned. When I first mentioned the election, she said, "I don't like the way that she, shamed those women that her husband cheated on." And I was like, "Well," I said, "But Mom, that doesn't affect how much money you're going to have left over after insurance. That's not a policy that she's pushing.
Right.
That's something that she did in her past."
But what about what he did in his fucking past? Gold to my ear.
But they look over that.
Right.
Because
he has a cock.
No, not just that.
Yes.
Some of it is that.
Bit,
and some of it is racism.
Right.
And some of it is anti-immigrant thing.
And people hate women. I do think people hate women. So Gold to my ear used to say, she said, there'll be peace in the Middle East when the people who hate Israel and the Jews love their children more than they hate us, right? And I feel like with this election, if they loved their country more than they hated Hillary, or if they, it was the hatred towards her and the Clintons. I can't, like, the fact that you would put us in, like, the other thing that fucking pisses me off, like, when you say it, is that all these people, like, when he says Pocahontas, and then they go, he said Pocahontas, he's the, and they normalize this shit.
But do you know, but that's a word that bugs me, is the normalized thing, because it's like, a lot of my friends are like saying, I'm not going to say his name, I'm going to put a black profile picture, and I'm like, now, darling, this is what Democrats need to do, is autopsy their own party, because he normalized himself when he won. Did he win with help from Russia? Did he win with help from misogyny? Did he win? Yes. Tribalism, racism, whatever. Yes, he did. But I also don't think we were looking at how Americans are doing. And if after the recession, Obamacare is not affordable.
Right.
And if seniors are splitting their medications so that they can make them last, longer, Jesus Christ, in West Virginia, to create jobs, they tried to open an opioid treatment center, and they couldn't find to give jobs. No one was clean enough to even work there. These are huge problems, even outside. What is it? That was the biggest problem in the primary discussion about New Hampshire.
Right.
Heroin and opioids.
Right.
So I think we kind of sat around and said, because it became an internet meme. Oh, blame the black guy anytime that there was something wrong. There were some things that Obama was to blame for, and even though Hillary was capable, there are a lot of flip flops in her past. Having such a record,
but he is an awful human being.
But this was a race about outsiders.
Right.
Bernie Sanders, who is an insider, he's been a
Right.
senator for decades, was able to paint himself as we need a revolution,
Right.
kind of thing. So outsider. Trump is an outsider.
Right.
We can't forget that people already despised Congress.
Right.
They despise Congress because I don't think rational Republicans, of which there are some,
Right.
I don't think that they. I don't think that they liked the Republican government shutting everything down under Obama. But listen, this is another thing that it's heavy. But Obama, Bill Clinton, a Democrat, pushed the NAFTA trade agreement, which killed 1 million manufacturing jobs in these little places where Trump won. There was a factory that was a lifestyle. You went there, you could make.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
to see,
I remember that. Yeah.
so to see, and 1 million jobs were killed as a result of that, and factories were outsourced. So to see Obama at the end of his term, obviously cozying up to corporations to push the TPP Trans-Pacific trade agreement when Sanders, Clinton, and Trump were all against it. This is a Democrat, Obama, catering to corporate interest rather than creating the jobs he said he was, going to do.
It is about jobs, but...
Because I think that we're less likely to turn on the immigrants or turn on the Muslim if the wolf is away from our door.
Right.
Right.
Very smart, Bunny.
Yeah, that was really.
I love you.
Yeah,
well,
me
I
too.
mean, listen, we are so divided. I mean, we've got listen. Far from talking about what words we should use, we need to have some tough discussions
You're not kidding.
because we all come from different backgrounds and we all have different
I
things.
didn't do this for Bernie Sanders. All right, go ahead.
We, we can't be tiptoeing on eggshells about words. If you think that someone is a welfare queen, I want to hear what you have to say. And I believe in big government. I believe in subsidies for people who are trans or for whatever. But we've got to have those discussions and see, do we meet anywhere?
Right.
I'm as lefty as they come.
Yeah.
But when I see liberals freaking out and they say, "Oh, well, they want the Republicans want mandatory drug testing before you get any welfare," and I'm like, I don't think that's so cruel.
Right.
I mean, if you don't have any money and you want to make, money that's just part of my tax dollars, then I don't think that you should have money to buy party drugs.
Right. I see.
I mean,
I see your point.
There are some things, where we never have a real honest conversation about immigration.
I know, that's true.
And it's so complicated.
Right, it is.
And we've got to get away from the news media, which pushed the email scandal and the pussy grabbing over policies.
Right.
The New York Times said 80% of the electorate was, quote, disgusted 2 weeks before the election. We cannot disgust people and expect them to turn out and vote and feel that there's.
But you also, I mean, those debates with him, he didn't answer he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. He was, I mean, the fact that he could sit there and mock people through the debate instead of talking policy.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you, I was worried about Chris Christie getting the Republican nomination.
Oh yeah,
and here's why.
Fuck. I hate that fucking fuckface.
Okay, well, I do too. But he was reelected after Bridgegate, where out of spite, he shut down a bridge going to a town whose Democratic mayor, was it, did not support him.
Right, Hoboken.
Okay.
Yep.
This is something that I learned from that, and this is why I feared Chris Christie winning, and has something to do with Trump. People sometimes like a strong viewpoint, even if it's an asshole.
Right. They like
because
someone
that's seen
who's
as the opposite
absolutely.
of a flip flopper. And even a lot of people of color felt, oh, Obama will be our savior. They didn't show up to vote because they didn't feel that the Democratic Party, that the hope and change didn't really arrive for them.
Hopi and change. Yes.
So I mean, it's
I know.
I go and I take these.
You're good.
No, I love to talk to everyone from Muslim cab drivers to evangelical, people to I mean, we've got to hash this out. And
but you have to admit, these fucking evangelicals for Roy Moore, for a fucking pedophile, like you have no, how dare you? You hate gays, but you'll have some guy who fucking diddles 14-year-olds.
But
Fuck him.
Baby, the evangelicals are for Trump. They forwarded around a video, which I saw, of rabbi, priests, one from Africa, one from, Hispanic. They're all doing jazz hands around him in praise. Right. So to my relatives, I asked my Aunt Carolyn, I said, Mom said that you were interested in Bernie Sanders. And she said, yeah, well, we thought he was real honest. And then she said, but we voted for Trump. No shame in her voice whatsoever. I said, well, you're very religious, Aunt Carolyn. How did the pussy grabbing jive with your religious beliefs? And she said, well, we like Mike Pence, changing the subject. And, I because the pussy grabbing thing was so shocking to women, I asked a lot of my female friends, including a few trans women, one of whom said, yeah, I worried about sexual predators when I was 20 pounds thinner. But we like honesty. But, they all said to me, every woman has a story. They do not talk about it. Sometimes it can be related to PTSD. Sometimes it can happen so young that their budding sexuality is like, on one level, it feels good, but there's shame because they know that it's wrong because it is a relative. So this is why I think that this watershed moment for women is so important, because we're seeing the depth of and we're seeing the Charlie Roses who we can't even believe, and but it just proves how pervasive this is.
It is. We need to look at the bigger. Also, Bunny has DJing 6 to 10 at the Monster every Sunday night, so check that out.
I want to go. I'm going.
Not the last Sunday. That's Robin Bird's night.
Not
really?
Yeah, she hosted on the last Sunday.
Wow, I love that.
I love her.
Bunny, I can't thank you. I could talk to you all day and night.
It's true.
Thank you for.
It was my pleasure. I could talk
so
to you all
cute.
night. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. And as we always say, so long.
And everything was wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thank you for the visit. So long.